So this is what we're going to be building in today's video, a currency converter. And this currency converter supports over 31 languages that we can convert from and to. So let's say if we have selected US dollars, we have a bunch of different options over here. Let's select US dollar to Indian rupee, right? If I put some amount, let's say 5 and press on convert, you can see it gives this loading indicator, and then in the end we get the converted amount in the INR. Now you can notice over here we have this button to swap these currencies, which is similar to Google Translate. We have this option, right, to switch the languages. So if I click on it, you can see we have just switched the language, and if I, let's say 83 and press on convert, you can see we get the US dollar rate as of making this video. Now there's one more thing. You can see this star icon over here, right? If I, let's say I use INR a lot, right? So I can click on this star, and now if I select on any other language, if I go back again, you can see INR is at the very top because this is added to my favorites list. And if I refresh this page, you can see the state has been reset to default, but INR is still at the top in both from and to. Let's say if I add this to my favorites as well. So now if I refresh the page again, and if I go on over here, you can see on the top we get INR and Euro. And we're going to be building this app using React.js and Tailwind CSS. So I've opened VS Code over here, and I'm going to quickly open my terminal. And you can see I've already created this folder currency converter, and I'm going to initialize a brand new React app over here. So I'm going to say npm create wheat at latest. And yep, you see it has given me this boilerplate code. And now I'm going to say npm install all of our dependencies by typing npm install, and it's going to install all of these packages like React, React DOM. So meanwhile that's happening, let's just get rid of the things that we don't need, like this assets folder. I'm gonna get rid of everything inside of app.css, everything inside of index.css, and inside of the app.jsx, I'll remove everything inside of return, and let's remove these states and all of these imports right over here. Awesome. So let's go to Google and search Tailwind CSS with wheat, and if I click on this link, it's gonna give me the instructions. So simply we have to do npm install, and we can install Tailwind, Post, CSS, and auto prefixer. So let's paste this over here, and it's gonna be installed as a dev dependencies, which means these are going to be removed from our project when we are going to deploy this, so that our project becomes light and it doesn't have unnecessary dependencies. Okay, that's done. Then we're supposed to do npx tailwind css init -p. What this will do, it will create a configuration file for Tailwind CSS over here. Let me show you. So yep, tailwind.config.js. Now inside of this configuration file, we can tell it that you need to check these files, js, ts, jsx, tsx, and html files, to see our CSS code or the Tailwind CSS code that we are going to write in this project. Okay, that's done as well. Now the last step remains to add all of these Tailwind directives to our CSS file, that is our index.css file. So I'm going to add them just like this, and let's just add inside of our body tag, I'm going to say font family to sans serif. And yeah, if I just try to run this by typing npm run dev, now you're gonna see, there we go, subscribe to Roadside Coder. Awesome. Okay, so first of all, what we're gonna do, we're gonna check if our Tailwind CSS is working fine. So I'll just go over here and say class name, and if you've worked on Bootstrap before, this is kind of similar to that. So if I, let's say, want to say bold text, so I'm gonna say font bold, and if I save it, you're gonna see our font becomes bold. And definitely keep referring to this Tailwind CSS documentation if you want to learn more about these Tailwind classes. And throughout this video, I will also tell you what are the common classes that we generally use inside of it. So okay, I'm gonna get rid of this and this style, and I'm gonna give this some base class names like minimum height of screen. What this will do is it will give the minimum height of 100 viewport, and I'll set the background to gray. 100. So we can see we have a lot of shades of gray over here, right? We can choose 100. And also you may have seen that I'm getting all of these suggestions, right? So how am I doing this? So you can quickly go to extensions and install this Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. When you install it, you're gonna get these suggestions over here in your class name as well. Then I'm gonna say flex column, so that everything is aligned from top to bottom. Items center, so that everything inside of it is in the center horizontally, and justify content to center, so that everything is at the center vertically. So if I say hello, you're gonna see this will appear at the middle of the screen. So yeah, there we go. Cool. Now instead of this hello, I'm gonna create a component over here called currency converter. And obviously this component doesn't exist yet, so I'm gonna go here and create a new folder for our components. Let's add a new file for currency converter. Also, you can find the complete code for this whole app in the description down below. Now I'll say RAFCE and press enter, and I can rename this as currency converter. So how I did this RAFCE, we have another extension called ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. You can install it as well, and you're gonna get these cool snippets right over here to generate the boilerplate code. So let's import it right here, and if I go back again, great, this works. Now before starting to build our UI, we have to figure out from where the data will come from where all of those languages will come from. So if I go to Google and search frankfurter.app, we're gonna land on this website over here, which provides us open source API for our currency conversion. So the API that we are going to use is this /currency. So basically this API will be used for fetching all of our currencies, right? So let's just yeah, you can see we have this example snippet over here. So I'm just gonna copy this host over here. So if I just copy it, and I'll just paste it over here, and I'm going to use /currencies. Okay, so this will be the API for the currencies. We're going to need another API for conversion of the currencies, right? So we have, you can see this /latest. So if I just copy it up and let me just replace it right here, latest. And this will take a few things. First of all, the amount. So amount, let's say 1, and what currency that we want to convert from. So I'm gonna say from, and in from, let's say if I say US dollar and to INR. So let's just copy it up, and you're gonna see if I paste it over here. Oops, I made a spelling mistake over here, so it's gonna be latest. Enter. Yep, you can see 1 USD equals this much INR. Awesome. Let's just copy it up and paste it over here. All right, so we have both of our API endpoints, and you know, in our front-end interviews, you can be given such API endpoints to build such apps in a very small time frame, like 1 or 2 hours, and that is why you have to be very good in solving these questions. Therefore, I've made this complete front-end interview preparation course with dozens of such apps for you to practice, along with JavaScript interview questions, React.js interview questions, and even performance optimization interview questions for you senior developers out there. And not just this, along with this course, you get an active Discord community where you can ask your doubts whenever you get stuck, and we will be there to help you. So click the link in the description down below, because right now we're having the biggest sale of the year for a very limited time. So don't forget to check it out. Or you can also scan this QR code on your screen to go directly to the course page. Alright, now over here, instead of this, I'll have a h2 tag. Instead of it, I'll say currency converter. And I'm gonna give this some class name of margin bottom to 5, text to be 2XL, font has to be semi bold with around 600 font weight, and text to be gray of 700, a little darker shade. Let's go back and see. Oh, let's refresh it. Yeah, looks better. Let's create a box around it. So I'll say class name of max width to be XL. So what is this? So you can see max width is 36 rem, which is around 576 pixels. So it won't exceed beyond this. And margin X, that is horizontal margin, is going to be auto, so that we can see it at the very center. Margin vertical is going to be 10. And padding, I'm going to give it around 20 pixels, so padding 5. Background is going to be white, and let's make the borders rounded. So rounded large, I'll say. And I'm going to give this some shadow as well. So we have small shadow, medium shadow, large shadow. So I'm going to give medium shadow. And yeah, this looks much better already. Now let's go on and plan our app. What are all the things that we're gonna be including in this? So first of all, I'm gonna have a div over here for our drop downs. Okay, below this, I'm gonna have another div which will contain my input box. So basically inside of this div, I'm gonna have a label which will be for amount input. Or let me just close this. Yeah, amount. And below this, I'm gonna have a input tag which will be of type number to take the amounts. Let's go back. Okay, looks good. Let's give this div some class name of margin top of 4. For my label, I'm gonna give this class name of display block. Text has to be small. Font weight is going to be of medium size, that is 500, and text gray 700, similar to this. So yeah, it's like that. And similarly for our input box as well, I'm gonna say class name width to be full. I want it to expand to the full potential. Then padding has to be 2, some border and some border gray of 300. So this is going to be the color of the border. We're gonna give this some border radius, some shadow, and whenever we click on it, we're gonna make sure we don't display any outline, but we're gonna give this ring 2. So basically this is going to display a box shadow around it. And over here, we're gonna give this some color of indigo as well, right? And margin top of 1, which is around 4 pixels. So if I show you just like this, if I click on it, you can see we have this ring around it, right? So this is made possible by using Tailwind CSS. You can see it abstracts so many classes for us and makes our tasks so much easier. Okay, now below this div, I'm gonna have my convert button, right? So I'm gonna wrap it inside of a div with the class name of display flex, justify content to be at the ends because we want it to be at the very right side, and margin top to be 6. Then I'll have a button which will say convert. Oops, convert. Let's see. Okay, looks good. Let's give this button some styles. I'll say class name, and I'll say the horizontal padding has to be around 20 pixels. Padding vertical has to be around 8 pixels. I'm gonna give this background color of indigo 600, and the color of the text is going to be white. Some rounded medium border radius, and when we hover on it, it's gonna show background indigo to 700. So you can see we can give this focus and hover just like this. Similarly, we can give responsive styles as well, which I'll show you in this video on how we can make our app responsive. Then whenever we focus on it, we're not going to show any outline, but we're going to show this ring just like we showed it in the input box, right? Same code right over here as well. And the ring offset is going to be 2 so that we have some space between the button and the ring. Right? So if I go back and show you, if I click on it, see, it looks much professional and what we are used to seeing in the enterprise applications. So okay. Then right at the bottom, I'm gonna have one more div which will contain my converted amount, which we can give any number for now. And let's give this a class name of margin top 4. Text is going to be large, font weight is going to be medium, and I want it to be aligned at the very right side. And text is going to be green of 600. Okay, let's go back and see. Okay, this looks good. Let's just add our states over here. So first of all, I'll have a state to contain all of my currencies, right? So I'll say use state currencies. I'll keep it an empty array by default. Then below this, I'll have another use state which will contain my amount. So amount, that is the converted amount. By default, I'm gonna keep it as 1. And also this amount, I'll just give it to my input. So on change, I'm gonna change this amount, so E, and set amount to e.target.value, and inside the value, I'll give this amount, which is the amount. Now, since we have our currencies over here, let's go on and fetch this API. So right below this, I'm gonna have a function called fetch currencies, and inside of it, I'm gonna have a try catch block where we will fetch our currencies. So inside of the try block, I'll say const response equals await. Since we're gonna be using await over here, that's why this function has to be an asynchronous function, async, and I'll say fetch, and I'll add my API endpoint right over here. Below this, I'll have const data equals await, and response, I'll take the response and convert it into the JSON, and then I'll set the currencies to whatever we get in this data, that is all of our currencies. And whenever we encounter the error, I'm just gonna log that error fetching, and I'll just give it this error. Okay, this looks good. Let's just try to call it inside of our use effect. And this use effect, I've kept the dependency array as empty. So this will be called whenever our component loads. Okay, let's console log this right over here and see what do we get inside of our console. If I go to inspect and see the console, let's refresh this, and yep, you can see we get bunch of different currencies inside of this, all 31 of them. And now, since we've been talking about currencies in this video, and you're someone who's been working with cryptocurrencies, maybe you transfer cryptocurrencies to your customers or receive cryptocurrencies from your customers. So let me tell you about Cryptomus, which is a cryptocurrency payment gateway with low commission rates. They charge only 0.4% to 2% commission for receiving payments and no commission at all for withdrawing. So let's see how you can start accepting crypto payments with Cryptomus. You can either integrate the payment gateway by API documentation that you can find in your personal account. They have a PHP SDK with all the necessary tools in one kit. Or you can use the plugins for e-commerce websites made with WooCommerce, Shopify, PrestaShop, and others. One of the best Cryptomus feature is white label. All you need to do is configure all the necessary data and use all Cryptomus payment processing features with your own branding. With crypto processing, you can create your own crypto exchange or crypto gateway. Try crypto processing and work with the crypto transactions the way you want. Link to Cryptomus will be in the description down below. Register and try it for yourself. Okay, so coming back to the video, we have all of our currencies inside of this state. And let's plan other functions as well. So if we want to convert our currencies, I'm gonna have a currency convert function, which I'm gonna call whenever we click on this button right over here, this button over here. So I'll say on click equals currency convert, or I think I can just call it convert currency. Awesome. So now let's go on and render all of these currencies inside of our drop downs over here. And see, we're gonna have two drop downs over here, right? So it doesn't make any sense writing that code twice. So let's just create a separate drop down component, and we're gonna reuse it. So I'll say dropdown.jsx RAFCE, and I'll have this drop down component. Let's call it currency drop down. Now before building this, inside of our currency converter, I'm gonna have two more states. So use state from currency, which let's say by default I'll keep as USD. So it's from, and we're gonna have a to currency. That is the currency that we are supposed to convert to. Let's keep it INR by default. Now inside of our drop downs, I'll have this currency drop down rendered. This is going to be from drop down, and we're gonna have another drop down which is going to be to drop down, right? And in the middle, I'm gonna have a button for swapping the currency. So let me just add it so I don't forget. Swapping currency button or swap currency button. Okay, let's go back. Okay, we can see that. Now let's plan this currency drop down component. So there are a few things that this component will take. First of all, the currencies, all of the currencies that we have fetched, right? So currencies, the current currency that we are selecting, and set currency, right? This can either be from or to. So that's why we have created this component so that we can reuse it. Then we're gonna have the favorites, the currencies that we've added to the favorite or we have starred those currencies. Handle favorite. This will basically allow us to favorite our currency or remove from favorite, something like that. And in the end, I'll have the title. So title basically, let's say if it's from or to, we can specify it right over here. Okay, so inside of this div, let's just have a label right away, and this label is for from, or let's just add title over here, and inside of it I'll have the title. And let's see, let's go back, and over here I'll say, first of all, I'll give it the currencies, and let's give it the title for now. Title from. Let's give both of these to this one, and I'll say to over here. If I go back, okay, we get from and to. Let's add the colon as well after this. Now back to our currency drop down. We're gonna have another div over here, inside of which we are going to render our select tag. So select, and this select tag takes a few options, right? So inside of it, I'll run a map on this currencies that we've been getting over here. So currencies dot map. I'll take one single currency and I'll have an option tag with the value of this currency, and the key as well is going to be the currency to make it unique. And then inside of this option, I'm gonna have the currency. Let's see, what do we get? Okay, this is breaking, maybe some issue. Currencies.map is not a function. Let me just add the optional chaining over here. Let's see, what are we supplying it? I think this should be fine. Currencies. Oh wait, I think when we are fetching it from the API endpoint, this is actually not an array. I think this is in format of the object. Yes, it's an object. If I see raw, yep. So I have to convert it inside of an array, right? I mean, we have to convert it into an array. So instead of just supplying data directly over here, I'll say object dot keys, and I want to form an array out of it. So data. If I save it now, okay, let's see what do we get. If I click on over here, okay, we don't get anything. Let's go back to our drop down now because we are not returning anything. So return. And now we should see, yes, we have all of our currencies right over here, just like this. Cool, then let's give this select some class name, which is going to be width of full. Padding is going to be 2, that is around 8 pixels. Some border, and I'm going to give the border color. I'm going to give this some border radius, some shadow, and whenever we focus on it, similarly, we're going to show a ring which is going to be in the indigo color. Let's see. Yeah, just like this. Great. Our app is starting to take shape. Let's give this label some class name, just similarly to what we have given earlier. Display block, text to be small, font medium, and text gray of 700. Okay, much better. And for this div, I'm gonna have a class name of margin top to 1 and relative. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. And also, right above these currencies inside this select, we're gonna render our favorites over here, right? So I'll just say render favorites, just writing it over here. We're gonna implement it in just a minute, and I'll just write HR tag so that we can have the line before it. Okay, now after this select tag, I'm gonna have a button for adding to the favorites, right? So let's just have a button, and I'm gonna import a star over here. You can either use an emoji, or let's just use a proper library. So I'll just go to my terminal, stop the server, and I'll install npm install react icons. So react icons is a library that provides us a lot of icons. So if I say react icons over here, let's go to this page, and my personal favorite is hero icons, so I'll just use this. So let's just search it from here. Yep, hero icons too. Okay, so I'll take star. Let's just search star, this one, hi outline star. So I'll just click on it, and we can see we have this import statement over here. So let's just import it right away and copy it up, and inside this button I'm gonna paste it just like this, and I'm gonna rerun our server. Okay, let's see if our star has been rendered. It's not rendered. I think I need to give it some class names. So class name, I'm gonna give this position absolute so that I can align it from the right side, and I'm gonna give this top 0 and bottom 0 with this class name inset y of 0. Right is going to be 0. Padding right is going to be 5, so that it gets shifted around 20 pixels from the right. Display flex and items to be center, so that vertically aligned to the center, and text has to be small, and line height is going to be 1.25 rem. Let's go back and see. Yes, we are getting our button right here, and when we click on this button, so on click, I want to show, or sorry, I want to add it to my favorites. So handle favorite, and simply I'll just actually I'll do this handle favorite, and I'm gonna give this currency. Obviously this handle favorite doesn't exist yet, so let's just define an empty const handle favorite right here. This will take a currency, and this will add to favorite. Just copy it and give to both of these over here handle favorite. Okay, what else do we need to give these? We need to give from currency and to currency. Okay, so they have a similar currency, right? So currency equals from currency, and this one currency is going to be to currency. And we have a set currency prop as well, which will say set from currency for this one, and for this I'll say set to currency. Okay, now let's go back, and for selecting these currencies, so I'll take this set currency, and inside this select, I'll first of all say value, the current value of the currency, and on click, or sorry, on change, it's going to be e set currency e.target.value. And let's see. Okay, this is working fine. Nice. Let's go back and add the logic for swapping these currencies as well. So for the swap button, I'll have a div. Inside of it, I'll have a button which will have a icon called hero icons arrow right left. So let me show you if I render this. Yep, just like this. Okay, now let's give this some class name of grid. So this will be display grid. Okay, I'll say grid columns. Number of columns is going to be 1. So C. Okay, when it's greater than smaller screens, I'll say grid columns, and it's going to be 3. When it's smaller screen, then this is fine, but when it's greater than smaller screen, you're gonna see, yep, it's gonna appear just like that. We're gonna fix this in just a moment. Let's put some gap between these, gap of 4, and items is gonna be at the end. That is align items to flex end. So yep, just like this. Let's take care of this thing as well. In this div, I'm gonna give this the class name of flex, display flex, and justify content to center, and minus margin bottom to 5 pixels, minus 5. So if I show you, if I make this small, you can see there's a lot of gap over here, right? But when I do this, it's at the center and the gap has been reduced so that it appears in the middle. But if it's greater than smaller screens, I'll say margin bottom to 0. So when we do something like this, you can see. Wait, let's just give my button some class names. Let's give this some padding of 8 pixels, some background color, border radius of rounded full, some cursor pointer, and when we hover on it, I'm gonna show the darker shade of this gray. So yep, you can see it looks much better now, and in the very center. So you see how responsiveness is working over here. For my icon over here, I'll say class name of text to Excel, extra large, and text gray to be 700. So yep, you can see. Now how do we add the logic for swapping the currencies? So simply I'm gonna have a function over here. So on click swap currencies, and let's take the swap currencies. Let's create a function here, const swap currencies, and all this will do, it will just say set from currency to currency, and set to currency to from currency. It just basically swapping them. So if I go back and click on it, you're gonna see it works flawlessly. Also, there's one thing missing over here. You can see the width is not appropriate. So what I'll do, I'll go to app.jsx. I'll just wrap it inside of a div and give the class name of container. So let me show you what container has. So container basically defines these media queries for our max width, so that we can have natural breakpoints whenever we make our screen smaller or larger. So yeah, you can see now it looks much better. Great. Now finally, let's add the logic for our conversion of the currencies. So simply we're gonna make an API call, that is this one. Right, so I'll use it on over here. This is the function for our conversion of the currencies. So first of all, what I'll do, I'll take another state over here, use state, which is going to contain our converted amount. By default, it's gonna be null. And also I'm gonna have a loading state, which is going to say converting whenever we are making that API call, so that we can show the loading state. By default, it's going to be false. Now, instead of our convert currency function over here, I'll make an API call very similar to this one. So let's just copy this try and catch block, paste it over here. And instead of this API call, I'll use this. This is going to be an asynchronous function. And first of all, let's see if the amount is not present in the input box. So if there is no amount, I'm going to say return. But after that, if it's there, I'm going to say set converting to true, so that we can start the conversion process and we can show the loading state. Then over here, we're going to use this /latest and we're going to set the amount. So let's just put these in the backtick, and amount equals, I'm going to use the template string, and amount from, I'm going to use the from currency, and to, I'm going to use the to currency. Okay, then simply I'm going to have the data converted into the JSON, but instead of this, what I'll do, I'll say set converted amount, and I'll take data dot rate. So if you remember, if I go back to here, so we have this rates, and inside of it we get our response. So data dot rates, and we need this to currency, right? The INR, plus I'll have a gap over here and just show to currency to which we are going to be converting it to. Okay, then finally in the end, after all of this has been done, this finally block is going to run, and it's gonna say set the converting to false. Okay, let's just take this converting state, and over here in my button, what I'll do, I'll wrap this inside of a backtick first of all, and inside of this curly braces, and in the end I'll have a loading indicator. So I'll say if the converting is true, I'll add animate, and you can see we have so many things that we can use over here right out of the box from Tailwind CSS to add the animation. So I'll just say pulse, else none, right? Let's do this, and then let's check if we have the converted amount, only then we will show this, and we will show our converted amount right over here. Let's see if this is working or not. Okay, we have USD, we have INR. If we convert, okay, let's convert it to some other currency. Convert, we get the animation, and great, this is working absolutely fine. Now let's go on and add the add to favorite logic, that is make these stars work. So I'll just create a brand new state over here, use state for our favorites. It will contain all of our favorite currencies. And you know what, since to make these currencies persist, I'm gonna be using local storage over here. So I'll say json.parse. I'm gonna store it inside the local storage. So I'll just fetch local storage. First of all, I'll check if it's already inside the local storage. So local storage dot get item, and I'll just store it under the key of favorites. If that's the case, I'm gonna get the favorites. Else I can assign any by default currencies, like let's say INR as my favorites. You can keep it empty if you like as well. Oh, this bracket is going to be closing over here, not here. Yeah, just like this. First of all, let's just add one more currency inside of it. So let's say euro, and let's copy it and just send it to our currency dropdown. Let's render these favorites first. So over here and over here, let's go inside of this and let's render these favorites right here. We will simply say favorites dot map single currency, and just what we've done right over here, I'll just copy it up and paste it. Return, and since these are favorite, I'll just add a different class name. Let's say background gray to 200. And if we see, yep, we have both of these on the top. But there's one problem. Since we have INR and euro, you can see we have INR over here as well, which we have to remove it from here. Now what we can do, we can either do filtering here, which I'm going to do right now, but there's one homework for you guys. What you can do instead of this, you can use a data structure called set in JavaScript. And by using set, it will automatically eliminate the duplicate currencies from this currencies array, or the currencies set in that case. So definitely implement this and let me know in the comments down below how you did that. So I'll just say filter. I'll filter out those currencies over here. See, and if not, favorites dot includes C. Oops, this is going to be like this. Okay, if I go back and we can see the INR is in the favorite, but it's not over here. Great. Cool, so we have done this, but let's just make these stars work so that we can add new currencies to favorite and remove the others from the favorite if we want. And also before that, so over here we have just this outline star, right? So I'll just say if is favorite, I'll just check if a currency is already inside of the favorite. I want to show a filled star, which is this one. So I'll just duplicate it, HI star. So if I show you, yep, this filled one. So right at the top, I'm gonna create a function const is favorite. What this will do, it will take the current value and say favorites dot includes, includes, if it includes the current one, then it's gonna return true, else it's gonna return false. So simply I'll say if is favorite of the currency, if that's the case, then show this one, else show that one. So if I go back, yep, we can see the INR is in favorite, so that's why it's selected. If we say this, it's not selected. But if we click on over here, oh yeah, sorry, I haven't implemented the handle favorite function, so let's just go on and implement that. So right over here, handle favorite. First of all, I will take all of my current favorites, so I'll just store them inside of the updated favorites variable, and then I'll say if favorites dot includes. So first of all, I'll check if this currency that we're trying to add is already inside of this or not. So if it is, I'll remove it from here basically. So I'll say updated favorites equals updated favorites dot filter out that particular currency. So favorite to favorite not equals to currency. Basically, as soon as it encounters it, it's not gonna return it. Else, simply I'll have my updated favorites and I'll push the new currency to it. And yeah, simply in the end, I'm gonna say set favorites to the updated favorites, and I'll update my local storage as well dot set item. The key that we decided was this favorites, and inside of it, I'm gonna put this updated favorites. So I'll have to say JSON dot stringify and updated favorite. So right here we're doing stringify to convert it into string, and over here we're doing JSON.parse to parse that string back to the array. And yep, this should work. Let's go back, and if I click on over here, you can see this will be added to our favorites even over here as well. Awesome. So let's just try converting it. Great, it's working absolutely fine. So yep, if you like this video, definitely go and check out my complete front-end interview preparation course. This is the only resource that you will ever need to prepare for your upcoming front-end interviews. And right now, as I mentioned, you can get it for flat 50% off.